So this is part 2. UFC stuff, Indy stuff, but the news is up first, and I've got to go through this because I need to laugh my arse off. So, basically, TriStar is in negotiations to get a biopic done about Vince McMahon. The working title, I think, for the script was Pandemonium, which has Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, who worked on, I think it was Crazy Stupid Love, but also currently direct and exec produced This Is Us, the big popular American series. They're in talks to direct. And Craig A. Williams has written the script. This got written a few years back. This is the same guy that wrote Underdog. Yeah, the kids film. Keep that in mind, because this is not very kiddie friendly. It's interesting, because at first, WWE and McMahon hadn't blessed it. But apparently they've now possibly trying to do a deal with him in terms of doing it. Obviously, you know, the true story is he was raised by his mother and a series of stepfathers, and then he got into wrestling through his actual father, who was a promoter, and shadowed him as a teen, debuted in the WWF in '69 as an announcer, founded Titan Sports in '79, took over the company, you know, and did what he had to do and everything. The interesting stuff is what's come out, because the script notes, well, basically, P. Windsor's noted that McMahon and WWE, who attached to the project, would have full approval of the script. But the thing is, it'd be an interesting script. Because let's just say, quite a lot of it ain't true. So, according to, I know that the MLW radio guys talked about it, but the bits have come out via various news sites. So apparently it starts with Vince Jr. in the 70s, married to Linda, who's working as a waitress in a strip club. Vince is frustrated as his different jobs aren't going anywhere, and then when he visits his father, Vince Sr., he's further frustrated by the fact that the WWF is struggling. He tells him, who's presented as a profanity-heavy old-time wrestling promoter who talks down to his son, that the audience isn't interested in wrestling and want theatrics and dramas. And Vince Sr. demands that Vince not get involved. Apparently in a later draft, he's banished to Maine to do local promoter work, and is blown away when he sees Led Zeppelin perform. Okay. There's apparently also a scene in the strip club where Linda tells Vince she's pregnant, which would be technically with Shane, I guess, and Vince says the mother of his child won't work in such a place, and then leave, and when the manager just tries to stop Linda, he ends up getting beat up by Vince. And the script makes it evident that Linda is turned on sexually by the incident. And apparently she and Vince would never be political types, but maybe their kids would be at some point. Of course, this was written, of course, when she was bidding for be, can't remember if it was senator or governor. Vince is eventually brought on as an announcer when Vince Sr. gets on TV. And doesn't want to give his announcer a union wage. Vince eventually negotiates a $1 million buyout and keeps Gorilla Monsoon on, who's apparently a pretty big character and is described as being more along the lines of what Pat Patterson did in the company. Monsoon ends up on the stand during the steroid trial and plays the role that Hulk Hogan did in real life as the ally pitted against him. A later draft puts Hogan back in that role, with both versions described as being just like Ray Liotta as Henry Hill in Goodfathers, facing down his former mob pals when he testifies against them. Among the fictional parts of the script, all drafts include Vince passing away during the steroid trial when he actually died before WrestleMania 1. In both versions, Vince makes amends with his dad in a scene before his passing, which leads to a dramatic monologue of Vince on the stand talking about how the government shouldn't be in the business of his and other blue-collar people, which is how apparently he gets cleared. After Vince is found not guilty, he's in the limo with his family. After all of his infidelity has been exposed during the trial, they go off on him in the limo for being a terrible person, and then tell him that that's the making of their next great heel. So apparently this is how the Montreal Screwjob happened, allegedly. There's no Bischoff in the script, although they do mention the whole Ted Turner, I'm in the wrestling business phone call. Another draft did feature more of the Monday Night War. One sequence shows Vince discovering the junkyard dog as a construction worker, Roddy Piper in jail, Jimmy Snooker as a porn star, turning them into wrestlers. It also features Vince discovering Andre the Giant as an owner of a French restaurant in Montreal and bringing him into the business, and Vince apparently stealing Hogan from the AWA and training him. There's also scenes that include Shane and Stephanie being taught by classmates in high school over the steroid trials and beating their tormentors in a school hallway. Several sexual and other provocative elements, including a brawl between Randy Savage and Roddy Piper on a plane, depicted as being brought on by roid rage. Hogan dealing with steroid use hurting his sex drive and genital size. And a scene where a female wrestler propositions Vince. Vince then tells Linda in front of the wrestler instead of taking her up on the offer, which leads to Linda taking Vince into the stands at Madison Square Garden and doing it herself. Apparently the Randy Savage Stephanie McMahon stuff is touched on when Randy and Vince have a conversation about how Savage is popular with women the same age as Stephanie, and Savage is like, I'd never think of touching her. Apparently in the opening text the story is as true as anything in professional wrestling, and closes with how successful WWE has been in recent years. Also in the script is Iron Sheik, Volkov, Backlund, Sammartino, Chief J Strongbow, Baron Mikhail Siciliana, and many others. It's in early development. However, some of this script has somehow leaked out in terms of actual screenshots. And boy, this is some shit we ain't never seen before, people. If I can actually load it up. But yeah, it's just, that just seems absolutely redonk, if you want to call it that. Actually, let's see if I can get it on the tablet, because it's taking forever on the computer. There's just 4 bits that I've noticed, or have been highlighted at least where I'm looking. There's one bit where Gorilla Monsoon's going, if you two had a nickel for every person you promised riches to, we'd all be fucking rich. And Linda goes, look, Backlund's a nice guy, alright? He's like the guy a girl might lose her virginity to. But Hogan, he's the guy that makes a girl think, yeah, okay, let's try some butt stuff. And that opens us up to a whole new audience. Man, this script. There's also another bit. This is the Hulk Hogan reference from what I can tell. Because it's grainy VHS footage as Hogan sets up a home video camera in a hotel room somewhere. And a beautiful brunette waits on him in the bed. He eagerly unties Hogan's robe, only to be disappointed. And the girl goes, that junk swells you up everywhere but where it counts. As Hogan rushes to turn off the camera, we see that his balls have shrunken from the steroid, so it looks like he's got 2 marbles and a golf pencil between his legs. And then you hear the woman off screen going, talk about false advertising, man. It's like, wow. And then the final bit is McMahon's going, $20,000? And then Iron Sheik goes, plus some pistachios. And then Captain Lou Albano leads a monkey into the ring on a leash and then coaxes it to urinate in the opposite corner. Man, this could be an interesting script. I wonder how crazy it's going to be. I mean, can we hope it's going to be crazy? I guess. Interestingly, the ratings this week have been actually pretty bad. Probably because they're going up against sport playoffs. The basketball ones mainly. The viewership was only on average about 2.3 million for SmackDown, which is the lowest it's been in 2017. And with Raw, the 3-hour show averaged only 2.86, which is a new 20-year low for the show on a non-holiday and non-football day. So I guess that shows you how many people are watching the basketball playoffs now compared to in the past. The other news, and this is all from Dave's stuff from last week, there won't be any stuff till this next week because the Observer's a day late because Meltzer is picking up a special award at the Cauliflower Alley Club, so congrats to him on that, certainly. So the deal with Morrow is he's basically under contract with WWE until the 12th of August, so he can do all the stuff that he wants. Of course, the interesting thing is, this coincides with the fact that the World of Sport tapings got delayed. They aren't going to be happening this May. So part of me is wondering, are they trying to do it late August to try and get Morrow when he's out of the WWE contract? Who we'll have to see. As I mentioned on Monday, though, he did a great job with the boxing coverage. Really good. So there's some Japanese stuff. Atsushi Onita has been trying to get Suwama to appear in FMW, you know, the extreme. It's basically the CZW of Japan. Well, I don't know, DDT sometimes like that as well, but either way, FMW's probably the more extreme one. And they want him to do death matches. Suwama has said he has no interest. So FMW announced a show last week that I don't think happened in Shinkiba with Onita teaming up with two other guys to take on Masawa Inui, a mystery partner, and a third wrestler called Chicken Suwama. Of course, the thing is, Suwama's in All Japan, a rival promotion. So they basically said, you know, FMW got no permission to advertise his name, yet alone put it on a poster, and that they're falsely advertising him, and I don't know what happened with that. I guess what I'll see if the Dave stuff comes through. It'll probably be in there. Also, Kazuma Sakamoto has been brought in for the rest of the Noah tour to replace Bram. So I guess Bram must be injured, possibly. I'm not sure. Interestingly, as part of the current New Japan tour, it was supposed to be Shibata versus Zack Sabre Jr. But obviously that had to get pulled because of basically everything. Because of Shibata, and because of that, there was no place for Sabre Jr. So that's why he hasn't been part of the shows recently. He's not part of the stuff because there's no point in him being there. Had the Hardys stayed with Impact and done their feud with the Young Bucks, they were going to have a match one-on-one in Long Beach. One indie promoter says that Jag Swagger's asking for $4,000 a show, which they felt was a little high. He's doing some shows in Mexico. He's doing the House of Hardcore stuff in Australia. I think he's doing Rev Pro, from what I remember. A few things like that. Apparently, the Lucha Underground guys were at C2E2. which wasn't much in terms of news, just a little bit. Cody told Sports Illustrated that his days of travelling with the world are coming to an end and wants to make his decision and sign full-time with some promotion. No words to what it is, I have to say. Eddie Edwards is having some surgery to take care of lingering knee issues, so he's out of action for a bit, but hopefully it's only a short-term thing. Interestingly, DirecTV got info from TNA so it could do its 7-day, TV listings. And before Thursday the 20th, they sent through the write-up for the 27th, which said, newly crowned champ Loki appears, Moose defends his Grand Championship against Chris Adonis. None of which happened. Loki didn't show up and there was no him, so who knows? The great thing is, of course, nobody actually looked that far ahead to get spoiled that Loki won. Also, TNA News, Travis Flip Gordon isn't coming. He was offered a per-date deal, but basically Impact will be in charge of his outside bookings. So at the minute, he's getting about 10 to 12 dates a month, and that will probably be added to since he's starting to make his name. He's had an offer from Ring of Honor. The feeling is because TNA is looking at charging their own brokering fee on bookings, that most promoters aren't going to be booking their talent unless they're top names that are worth the hassle and the increased fee. Oh, they're doing that again. According to the people inside WWE, the Jinder Mahal thing is basically because they're trying to push themselves in India. Hence why the Sera brothers are now the Singh brothers and everything. They've just announced the new Vice President and General Manager of WWE India. If you look at some of the people that they've had in terms of... well, basically they had tryouts last week in Dubai. And basically are trying to get people from Great Khali's school as well as other, Indian people. Which is interesting because, of course, Impact was looking to get some of them involved with the Impact tapings in India towards the end of the month or next month. Names out the tryout Haruman Sani, who's the champion of Khali's promotion. Shanky Singh, that's billed as 7 foot tall. Suki Gurao, Giant Wonder. I'm probably getting some of these names wrong. Dinesh, Panjak, who's half of the tag team champs. Walid Yari, who's a bodybuilder. Sauraj Gurjas, who's a kickboxer. James Garrad, who's a professional strongman from the UK. Islam Gongon, a bodybuilder from Egypt. Mo Ishmael, a champion bodybuilder from Egypt who was living in Massachusetts and was in the Guinness Book of World Records for supposedly having 31-inch arms. M. Munaf, who's an MMA fighter. Crimson Cage, who wrestles in Dubai. Another Dubai wrestler by the name of Fayez Al-Amate. And female wrestler Davi Kavita, which is the one that I think me and Owen talked about last week. I'm not sure. Foley's had his hip replacement surgery. Basically, he seems to be in good shape and healing up well. Jim Ross's book Slobberknocker will be coming out in October. Steve Austin will be doing a piece in the book, and Vince will be doing the foreword. Shaq's been talking about why the Mania stuff didn't happen. He said, quote, they kept playing. First they said it was me and Big Show, then they said it was going to be 3-on-3, then they cancelled it. So when they cancelled it, I made other arrangements, and then they tried to call back and tried to get it done, and said, I'm not going to do it. They messed it up. So there you go. So regarding Bennett and Maria, Bennett's filming a movie apparently starring Ed Asner. So he isn't in wrestling stuff just yet, but you never know when it could be. It's not the Velveteen thing. Didn't look like him anyway. Interestingly, there was a ceremony a week or so back at Ricky Dozan's gravesite, with WWE officials presenting the Hall of Fame legacy plaque to Mitsuo and Shikara Momota, who are the son and grandson of Ricky Dozan. Apparently, a lot of Japanese celebrities were there, including Takeshi Kitano of Beat Takeshi, Ghost in the Shell, and Takeshi's Castle fame. Or MXC, I guess it would be in America. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford are being called the Street Profits. And Neville, Gallagher, Trent Seven, Wolfgang, Pete Dunne, and Tyson T-Bone have all been added to the NXT tour of the UK in June. Speaking of that, this weekend they are doing not just the European tour for the Raw and SmackDown, but I think it's Sunday, if not Saturday, I'm not sure. They are doing the first of the tapings for the WWE UK television thing, which will be on the network. Interestingly, the number one watch show last week on the network, or at least, well, I guess not this past week, but the week before, was NXT, closely followed by Mania and 205 Live and Talking Smack. So they're actually pretty high up, I guess, because there wasn't that much new stuff on. The ride along that was debuted that week with Swan, Perkins, Gallagher, and Kendrick, that was only number 5. In terms of other news, just quickly looking through, stuff that's come in since. I don't think there's anything there. Apparently, with the New Japan stuff, which I mentioned in the first part, it looks like we are getting Okada versus Omega. Okada basically pointed to that being happening in the interview that he did after the show. Apparently, there was a charity wrestling show, and the person behind the event didn't donate money to the charity or pay the wrestlers for their expenses. Glad to see that crap isn't still happening. Reportedly, X-Pac got arrested at LAX this week. He says it's yeast tablets. According to the reports, it's something to do with narcotics, which, according to police report, they found 3 cannabis chocolate bars, 2 liquid cigarettes, some capsules with meth, and also like $700 in cash. He's saying there must be something in the yeast pills, I'm hoping it's nothing serious. Apparently, Hogan was in California and said he'd love to be in Bullet Club. And if you remember, there was a YouTube Q&A thing that the Elite did, including with Cody and everything. Well, they sort of hinted the only people that could come in, that they'd let in, would be either CM Punk or Hogan. So, somebody's desperate. They've also announced that Shawn Michaels is going to be co-starring with Willie Nelson in Pure Country, Pure Heart, which apparently is the 3rd in the series. I love the fact that the press release says other titles include Pure Country. Really? And Pure Country 2, The Gift. The soundtrack's coming out August 1st, along with the movie, featuring Willie Nelson, Laura Bell Bundy, and Shawn Michaels with new and popular songs, which won't be coming out at cinemas at all. There will be a DVD, digital HD, and Blu-ray combo release, with the physical versions apparently being only at Walmart. From the director of Another Cinderella Story and Free to Tango, and from a script by Holly Goldberg Sloan, who did Made in America and Angels in the Outfield, apparently. There's other people in it as well. Apparently Ronnie Cox of, you know, Total Recall and RoboCop fame is in it. And Beverly Hills Cop, I think, from what I remember. Can't think off the top of my head because I've got all the stuffs going on. Obviously, we had the news about the NWA being bought by Billy Corgan. That's come through. The only word on this World of Sport stuff is it's being rescheduled. No details as like a date or anything, so we'll have to see. Oh, also, Brazo de Oro, one of the greats in CMLL, passed away from a heart attack this past week at the age of 66. The older brother of Super Porky. They were actually tag team partners in the 70s, but yeah. The thing to note is La Mascara, who is his son, and also Lady Apache, is the wife of Brazo de Oro, and Maximo, who's the current CMLL champ, was his nephew. I believe for the show that day, I don't know whether it was scheduled or anything originally, but from what I remember them reporting, the main event of that show was the two going against each other. I think. Basically, they did it as sort of a tribute thing, you know, the nephew and the son having a bout, and it was said to be very, very good from those that saw it, and, you know, obviously, it's going to be a tough time for them, especially because they were going to be fighting on the day of his passing, but they pulled it off with flying colours. Apparently, Sunday was their, like, Children's Day show, where, like, children can come for free, and it was absolutely packed, and they did another tribute there, and, you know, full credit to everybody at CMLL for, from what I've heard, putting on a great show, despite, obviously, the pretty sad news. Now to the MMA. I wasn't expecting there to be too much, but there is sort of one big bombshell in that UFC seems to have announced a flyweight division for the women. Basically similar to what they did with the strawweights a few years back. There's going to be a season-long Ultimate Fighter tournament to find the winner. Apparently they're filming in July, so probably expect it to be towards the fall into the winter. Apparently they announced a late May open tryout for women between 21 to 34 with a winning record and at least 3 professional fights. The tryouts are also open to current competitors that can make £125 throughout the season. So yeah, there's yet more women's divisions coming in. In terms of other stuff, Nate Diaz was on the MMA Hour of Al-Awani today. Basically, he was offered a fight against Tony Ferguson at UFC 213 during the International Fight Week, and initially accepted it, but turned it down. He also took shots at Conor McGregor, saying that he feels that he beat him twice, and that there should be a third fight between them. GSP teased that the fight against Bisping could take place at Madison Square Garden, because I believe it's now no longer happening sort of as they hoped for July time. It's going to be around November-ish. So I guess they're trying to get into the Garden again for that one, rather than be in Vegas, if you will. Daniel Cormier is going to be on Edge and Christian's podcast this week. Also, there's an interesting thing that Cyborg and Megan Anderson basically want to fight each other at UFC 214, given that her that won doesn't want to fight because she probably knows that she's going to lose. Which is always, what a true champion does. As in, I don't want to get injured. Nope, nope, nope. Anderson Silva was on the MMA Hour on Monday as well, so I guess special. It's normally on Monday anyway. I guess it was just a special one with Nate. Basically, Anderson said if he doesn't get a match with Yoel Romero in June for the interim middleweight title, he's probably going to retire. But, of course, the stupid thing is, why are we trying to create an interim title? Because, obviously, Bisping's champ, he's ready to fight. GSP was the one that delayed it to November. And then, surely if you think about it, Romero should be either against Rockhold, Whittaker, or Musashi. Guys that are higher up on the rankings and obviously have a better record. And then, interestingly, Romero himself has said it's either Silva or whoever wins between GSP and Bisping. So, I don't know what's going on there. Although, speaking of that June 3rd pay-per-view, they've just announced that Vitor Belfort will be going one-on-one with Nate Marquardt. I think that's how you pronounce it. Probably don't. See if there's anything here in terms of UFC stuff. No, there isn't. Just going through the daily update stuff, see what there is from F4W and the Observer. So that's where I get the most details in terms of the stuff. Because Dave likes to cover it. Of course, I have to scroll right through to the bottom of all these reports, so it's just the situation. Nothing on there either. So apparently the delay of the fight didn't make it on the proper write-up, which is a bit weird. Well, I guess this is one thing that could affect UFC long-term. The mass exodus of people from ESPN. Apparently hundreds of people got laid off. Basically, apparently they can't afford it anymore. They're not doing great. They can't get the right money to get the big sports in that they want to. The other, companies are just offering more money and more lucrative deals that they can't offer. So, perhaps the WWE thing was just sort of WWE getting out early by luck, if you will, and Coach getting out by luck, because a lot of very qualified people let go. Whether they'll get picked up by other people in the TV industry or WWE or whatever, let's hope. Because, that is a shame. So, from there, let's quickly go through the Indy results and upcoming events. So Preston City Wrestling this past week had its Girl Power show at the PCW Academy in Preston. The first all-female show, even though it had a man's match on it. So I guess predominantly female show. So it was 4 matches to qualify for a 4-way to crown a winner, I guess, if you want to call it that. So in the qualifiers, we had Lauren beat Shakara, Eliza Rue beat Rio, Lucy Cole victorious over Nina Samuel, and Violet O'Hara beating Nightshade. Then in the filler match to let the girls rest, Philip Michael beat Kid Long, and then in the 4-way elimination final, it was Lauren victorious out of the 4, beating Eliza Rue, Lucy Cole, and Violet O'Hara. CWF Mid-Atlantic last Saturday had its 80s night. We had Dirty Daddy and Rob Boogie Woogie Man McBride beating Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham and Ethan Alexander Sharp. Donnie Dollars defeated Cool J. Real Joshua Cutshall beat the party starter Keith Mack. The Dawson Brothers of Zane and Dave victorious over PB Smooth and Colby Red. Snooty Fox victorious over the Blue Devil. Nick Richards beat the Wrestling Machine Otto Schwanz. Rick Converse defeated the PWI International Heavyweight Champ C.W. Anderson by DQ for striking the ring official, so therefore C.W. Anderson retains. Eric Andrews beat Chet Sterling in a non-title match, so yeah, that was the worldwide TV champ versus the International Ultra J Crown champ. So that means something will happen. All-Star Roy Wilkins and Jerry Carey beat one half of the Tag Team Champ Sandwich Squad's Mecha Mercenary. After... Oh, so, hang on, it was Roy Wilkins. Jerry Carey was with Coach Gemini in terms of managers. So Roy Wilkins beat Mecha Mercenary after Mercenary was unable to respond to the referee's commands. Sounds a bit serious. The Bone Collector, Dominic Guarini, defeated Kane Justice, the Rising Generation League champ, in a non-title match via submission. So, rematch for the belt soon, who knows? And Trevor Lee retained the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight title against Alex Daniels with a submission after 26 minutes. Man, that went a while. Moving to Sunday, this past Sunday, PWX's Enter the Dragon. On the pre-show, we had the Alpha Gladiator Brady Pierce beat Wildman Congo. The show opened with a quickie with White Mike. Mike tried to welcome his guest Tracer X, but was interrupted by the Revolt. Tracer then joined him in the ring, invited White Mike to be one of the partners tonight, and the third partner was the returning Jake Manning. That match happened. Revolt won, beating Team Tracer. Joshua Cutshall beat Chris Main. Then Corey Hollis came to the ring, calling John Skyler a false prophet. But Skyler refused to fight him, said nothing would change it. Then that brought out Gunner, who urged the two to shake hands, and Gunner turned on Skyler. Then the Lucha World Order, John Cruz and Angel Rose defeated Pop Culture of Jason Cade and Vader Scott. Angel Rose did suffer a dislocated elbow, though, near to the end of the match, and was taken to hospital via ambulance, so best wishes to her. Elijah Evans retained the ITV Championship, beating Sugar Dunkerton. Shug D, I don't know what he called himself this time. The Syndicate of Timmy Lou Retton and TJ Boss beat the Tough Guys of Brutal Bob Evans and Tough Tim Hughes. Then it was announced that Martin Stone wasn't able to make it to the show, so James Drake wanted a fight. Got Maxwell Jacob Friedman instead. James Drake beat him. And then Friedman attacked the referee and promised that he'd turn PWX into a combat zone. I guess he can't be called Feinstein for some reason. The Ugly Ducklings retained the PWX tag titles against Roscoe Eat Lisa of Zach Sawyers and Mike McFinnigan. Then afterwards, the Syndicate laid out the champs. John Skyler beat Gunner in what's rumoured to be Gunner's last independent date before he goes to the E. Then afterwards, Corey got in Gunner's face and Gunner powerbombed Hollis out of his shoes. And the main event, Red Dragon beat Anthony Henry and Ethan Case. Next up, Wrestle Circus. We haven't covered them properly before other than the WrestleMania stuff. I guess we are now because it's getting a lot of attention, their shows. Their Battle at the Big Top. A couple of school showcases matches started it off with Mandy D'Amico beating Bo Bradley and Blue Bade beating Limos Dos. Then we had Candice LeRae victorious over Ethan Page. ACH and Christy James beat Delilah Doom and Colt Cabana. Moose beat Davey Boy Smith Jr. in a hardcover match. Jordan Lennox beat Trashman. Also, it's worth noting that Lever Bate showed up as Sabu. And all that. Extra Talented beat Flip Gordon, Space Monkey, and the Boys. I guess that must have been triple threat tag. Scorpio Sky beat Andy Dalton and Mr. 450 in a triple threat. In the Lady of the Ring match, Rachel Ellering beat Taya Valkyrie via DQ because Johnny Mundo interfered. Kikutaro beat Jervis Cottonbelly with a Shining Wizard. Sammy Guevara beat Matt Sydal with a 630 splash. Leo Rush, Desmond Xavier, and Shane Strickland beat OI4K. So I guess that would have been Callahan and the Chris Brothers probably. The Ringmaster title was retained by Brian Cage, beating Johnny Mundo with the Weapon X. Next, the Beyond Wrestling doubleheader. Looking California in Connecticut on Saturday. We had Brandon Watts beat Rex Lawless, David Starr victorious over Jay Freddy, Jordan Grace beat Don Pirazzo, Jonathan Gresham beat Michael Elgin, Super Cop Dick Justice beat Jarek 120, Team Pazuzu got the win over OI4K and Scarlett and Graves. Lufisto beat Penelope Ford. But then the bros from Team Ass beat Lufisto, so it'll be Team Ass versus Team Polg for the next show, which we'll get to in a few minutes, about a minute. Tracy Williams victorious over Ace Romero. John Silver, beat Kyle O'Reilly with a damn stiff kick, from what I've heard. And Joey Janela beat Donovan Dijak. Then drew a line in the sand for American Rana, the big show in, I think it's July, and challenged Matt Riddle to a fight, probably. Then Sunday, they were back in Providence, Rhode Island at the Aurora Club for Feeling Minnesota. We opened with Utah beating Jay Freddy. Joey Janela and Penelope Ford then beat Brian Malonis and Ace Romero. Then Janela was attacked by Chuck O'Neill and was told that Riddle accepted the challenge. David Starr victorious over Tracy Williams. In the freeway elimination match, Deonna Purrazzo beat Karen Q and Tasha Steeles. Deonna rolled up Q for the win. Steeles herself got eliminated by Q, so does that mean Steeles would have beaten Purrazzo because the one beat the other and that one got beaten? I don't know. Dan Barry beat Swoggle, Stan Styles, Dick Justice, Johnny Cockstrong, and Jarek. That's an interesting mix. EYFBO victorious over the American Destroyers of Mikey Webb and Donovan Dijak. Team Polg, PAWG, beat Team Ass, or Alpha Sigma Sigma if you want to call it that. Keith Lee victorious over Michael Elgin. AR Fox beat John Silver. And the Doom Patrol beat Gresham and Zack Sabre Jr. after Jordan Grace's interference backfired on them. The Ring of Honor stuff we'll finish off with in terms of results. So the Unauthorized Show in Milwaukee sort of went similar to the other one that they had a few years back. If you remember, the big thing from that was Delirious and Jay Lethal recreating Warrior versus Savage from WrestleMania 7. Including, Savage embracing his girl at the end, sort of thing. Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser were hosting for the night, actually. So it was the Motor City Machine Guns beating the Kingdom. Beer City Bruiser victorious over Shane Taylor, Cheeseburger, and Punishment Martinez with some beer spat in the face. Adam Cole and Jay White, Adam Cole beat Jay White after some interference from Hangman Page. Cole and Page attacked White after the match, but the Romantic Touch came out and made the save, and Hangman Page then beat the Romantic Touch. Then the Briscoes and Bully Ray beat Dalton Castle and the War Machine guys in a Milwaukee street fight. Interestingly, War Machine came out dressed as the boys. Dalton called them the Boy Machine. Crazy. Will Ferreira beat Jared Jacks. Marty Scurll beat Delirious for to retain the TV title. So then it was supposed to be Addiction versus the Young Bucks. But before the match, a guy ran down and handed a note to Beer City Bruiser that Addiction had food poisoning, so it became an open of challenge, which was accepted by the Legion of Boom, that may or may not have been Daniels and Kaz to make themselves look like Hawk and Animal. They accepted the challenge, and the Legion of Boom sang themselves to the ring. The crowd helped on, and they wanted to face the Midnight Rockers, who may or may not be the Bucks, for the AWA World Tag Team titles. The Bucks won, but afterwards Daniels and Kaz left, and Kaz took all of Bruiser's whiskey and drank it. And in the main event, Silas Young beat Jay Lethal. The Silas won in the end. I guess both guys did. And then Masters of the Craft in Hopkins, Minnesota, from Saturday. Vinny Marsaglia beat Shaheem Ali. Jay Lethal over the Beer City Bruiser. War Machine victorious over Shane Taylor and Rhett Titus. Matt Taven beat Adam Cole, Bebe. Marty Scurll retained the TV title over Ken Anderson with a small package. Cheeseburger and Will Ferreira beat the Carnies. So I guess they are still on the same page. I don't know. Jay White beat Punishment Martinez in somewhat of an upset. So much so that Punishment Martinez curb stomped Jay White into the ground. That's what you get. The Briscoes beat the Motor City Machine Guns. In an ODQ match, Bully Ray beat Silas Young. And then Dalton Castle and the Addiction beat Adam Page and the Young Bucks. So, for this weekend, whole load of stuff. Dragon Gate Japan this Friday has its Dead or Alive show. One of the big pay-per-views that they have in Aichi. Only 3 matches that I know of. Jimmy Kagetora defends the Brave Gate title against Takahiro Yamamura. Chima and Dragon Kid put the Twin Gate belts up for grabs against T-Hawk and El Lindemann. And then you've got the Dream Gate Dead or Alive Mask versus Hair 5-way steel cage match with Yamato defending against Naruki Doi, BB Hulk, Shingo Takagi, and Cybercon. Basically, the last 2 left via getting like pennants, from what I remember, or escaping the ring. I can't remember the rules because I had them for a time. The last 2 left, which has to be Yamato and somebody else. So basically, he has to stay in it no matter what, somehow. Whoever loses that match, you know, obviously Yamato has his title up for grabs, but also his hair. And then I think Doi, his hair, BB Hulk's hair, Shingo's hair. The only one that's masked is Cybercon. So we'll see. I'm guessing somebody's hair is going, because 4 out of 5. You know, it's very interesting. It's like, do you want to be the one that, you know, because obviously they want to win the title, but in order to do that, they've got to stay in the match until the end. So it's like, do you actually want to escape, or do you want to somehow stay in and get the win, sort of deal? I have to say. Preston City Wrestling have a show this Saturday at the Club Domain in Blackpool. I'm not sure the details of it. It's only listed as being for an hour on their Facebook page. The only matches listed are Bubblegum versus Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz versus Chris Widgeray. So that's all I know of the details. They seem to be very thin on the ground for them. There's a lot more for the stuff coming up towards the end of the month, which were due to be the shows that there were the World of Sport shows at the same time, but they're not now. So the big weekend though in the UK is Southside Wrestling. 3 shows over the course of about 36 hours. So Saturday afternoon, Day of Reckoning. I ain't got the place details for this. That's good, isn't it? Didn't think that through, did ya? Yeah, plonker. Let's have a look. Because, you know, you sort of do want to know where it is. It does help. even though I'm not sure that there's that many tickets available, from what I remember off the top of my head. So, that isn't that show. They're at the Rushcliffe Arena in Nottingham for both the Saturday shows. In the afternoon, you got Day of Reckoning 16, featuring 2 debuts in a 4-way. The debuting Caleb Conley and the debuting Jukin, I think that's how it's pronounced, take on Chris Tyler and Lana Austin. That's a fatal 4-way match. Scarlett and Grays in tag action versus the Filthy Click. Davey Boy Smith Jr. makes his Southside Wrestling debut to take on Paul Mallon. Kaylee Ray takes on Ruby Summers. Flash Morgan Webster makes his return from injury to take on Shane Strickland. And GBH of Kip Sabian, Damian Dunn, and Robbie X beat the Hubba Bubba Lucha Underground, which is Bubblegum, El Ligero, and Angelico. So then we get into the show in the evening for Speed King. Something worth noting here, and it is pretty cool to see from the Southside people. Basically, they got word last week that one of their young fans in Nottingham, Reece Seagrave, got murdered, or was murdered on the 20th of April. He was only 14, and the day he was killed, he had asked his dad if they could go to the Speed King event. Basically, him and his family have been attending the Southside shows since roughly 2011, which, considering they've only started in 2010, they've been there for quite a lot of the stuff at the old building that they were at. The family's attending the show, and they're dedicating the show to Reece. They'll be holding a 1-minute applause before the show, and there'll also be an empty front row seat in his honour next to his family seats. Any fans that like to pay their respects can lay flowers at his seat as well. So a nice little touch from the family running Southside for the memory of this kid, certainly. So in terms of what actually is going on here, it's the Speed King tournament. So it's basically 6 first-round matches, and then the winners go into a 6-way scramble. And the idea is whoever wins it wins the Speed King title, which is an interesting complication because obviously the guy who's champion is in it. Which I think is Chris Tyler, from what I remember. Or is it... No, it's Damian Dunn, from what I remember, yeah. Taking on Bubblegum in his first round match. We've got Chris Tyler versus Angelico, Suicide versus Kaylee Ray, Shane Strickland taking on Desmond Xavier, Flash Morgan Webster versus Zachary Wentz, and Kenny Williams versus Robbie X. As I say, the winners of those 6 go into, I think it's a 6-way eliminator at the end of the night to crown the Speed King champion. I think it gets them the title, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's on the line if the champion's in it, so I have to see. DJ Z was supposed to be in it. That's that replacement for Suicide. That's obviously because of the massive injury that he had in Mexico. A non-tournament match on the card has Gabriel Kidd versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. The Southside Heavyweight title will be on the line with El Ligero defending against BT Gunn. Apparently it was originally supposed to be on the Sunday show, but BT Gunn's unavailable because I guess he's booked elsewhere. I'm not sure what show it is, but that's why they're moving it. Speaking of Sunday, at the Priory Centre in St. Neots, Notorious 7 taking place Sunday afternoon about 5:15ish. The match is confirmed for this one: Gabriel Kidd versus Alex Gracie, a 4-way with El Ligero, Chris Tyler, HC Dyer, and Suicide. GBH of Damian Dunn and Kip Saban face Scarlett and Graves of Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier. Shane Strickland 1-on-1 with Kenny Williams. Robbie X taking on Davey Boy Smith Jr. And Bubblegum versus Angelico. Rev Pro are also having a live at the Cockpit show on Sunday, which I think is sold out, so you'll have to go on to RPW On Demand probably Tuesday for show Sunday to be able to see it. The only matches confirmed so far: Ryan Smile versus Zach Gibson. CCK of Travis Banks and Chris Brooks defend the tag belts against the, I think, former champs, London Riots of Rob Lynch and James Davis. Donovan Dijak 1-on-1 with Josh Bodom. Ginny faces Alex Windsor, and Marty Skrull versus Kyle O'Reilly is the main event. On Point Wrestling, Survival of the Sickest 2 at the Old Time Wrestling Arena, the Monroe Business Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. General admission tickets should be available on the day for about $25, hopefully. Bell time is 7 p.m. in case you're interested. So the first round matches in the actual tournament bit, we've got a home run derby, which is the triple threat one with Jeff Cannonball, Tank and Brad Cash. A carpet striptease with JD Horror versus Danny Havoc. So basically it's just carpet strip spikes. A barbed wire boards match with Mark Angel and G Raver. And Pallets of Pain with Colt 45 taking on Matt Ramon. There'll also be 2 semi-final matches, which are both fans bring the weapons, and a one-on-one final. Who knows how crazy that's going to be. Although there are a couple of non-tournament matches, Devon Moore and Drew Blood face Andy Harner and Drake Chambers. And Tony Deppen puts the OPW title on the line against Hybrid Sean Carr. Shikara at the Wrestle Factory this weekend has its 11th hour. Again, they're all themed about Doctor Who episodes from the modern era. The big thing about this one, this is the one with the Infinite Gauntlet. I'll run through the 29 competitors that we know so far of the 33 in a minute. But there are a few other matches. 2 one-on-one matches with Missile Assault Man taking on the Proletariat Bull of Moldova and Silver Amp versus Frightmare. The Grand Championship will also be up for grabs as Juan Francisco de Coronado faces Oleg the Usurper. The Infinite Gauntlet, this is the list. I don't know whether you can see that there's a lot of big names that are not here that have been there in previous years that are missing. So, you know, you can see how much of an exodus there's been over the past few years of talent. There's a lot of these are ones that have only shown up within the last year or two. Officer Warren Barksdale, Race Jackson, Ice Cream Jr., Murloc, Icarus, Donald Kluger, Delmi Exo, Ultramantis Black, The Whisper, Oberian, Sumi Sakai, Lucas Calhoun, Silverhawk, Jeremy Leary, Jacquiel Cordoba, The Hermit Crab, Razorhawk, Ashley Vox, Mark Angelosetti, Jessica Troy, Solo Darling, Dasha Hatfield, Hallowicked, Sonny Defarge, Cornelius Cromwells, Mick Moretti, Ophidian, Officer Bruno Maloney, and amazingly Dr. Rod Diamondfire. Yeah, the guy that does the DJing for the weekly Facebook music playing themes is in the match. In case you don't know, it's 33 people, entrance every 88 seconds, and I think it's pinfall, submission, or over the top rope from eliminations, from what I remember. Whoever wins gets a title opportunity of their choosing, I think, from what I remember. I have to see. AAW have a show this Saturday at the Logan Square Auditorium in Chicago area, entitled Take No Prisoners. I think there should be some tickets still available at aawrestling.com if you want to look. Colt Cabana's in action, but the matches that we do know, we've got a 6-way with Connor Braxton, Myron Reed, Paco, Jason Cade, Aero Boy and the Space Monkey. Six-man tag with Chuck Taylor, Trey Miguel, and Stephen Wolf taking on Matt Fitchett, David Vega, and Alex Daniels. David Starr goes one-on-one with Eddie Kingston. Also in one-on-one action, we got Trevor Lee taking on Bobby Fish, and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Michael Elgin. And then 3 title matches. Your tag titles on the line. In a no time limit, anything goes. There must be a winner match with OI4K defending against Ray Phoenix and AR Fox. If you remember, the last one went to a time limit, so OI4K retained by default. Penta faces Keith Lee for the Heritage title, and Sami Callihan defends the AAW Heavyweight title against ACH. We'll have to see. And I previously mentioned on the other show the Ring of Honor cards for Toronto and Dearborn, Michigan, so check it out on there if you haven't. So I believe that's it. You can find me on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK, although can I remember to put it in the blurb at the bottom? Will Owen do it? I don't know. If you haven't seen part 1, I didn't even mention it there, so whatever. I've just realised that the first file was about a gig in size, so it's probably going to take about 2 years to get over to Owen, so it might be there in time for WrestleMania 35. I mean, I sort of kid, it won't take that long. Next week, obviously, Monday we'll be talking Raw, the show from London. Wednesday, we'll be back to the regular Wednesday Wrestling Podcast, covering everything that happened over the tapings, probably with the UK stuff for WWE, as well as SmackDown 205 Live. Impact, Ring of Honor, What Culture, the Mexican leg of the World Cup, because that's airing on Friday on YouTube, I think. So if you want to catch that, check it out. There's some big stuff happening on that. And not, but there is a big thing that happens, certainly, that you might want to keep in the loop on. UFC talk, probably, to build up to that weekend's pay-per-view. And Indy stuff, which, can I actually quickly look at it before I finish stuff, as I normally do? Except that this isn't live, this is actually recorded, so I could have planned ahead further. Just briefly looking, if I can actually find the spot where it is. Going all past all these Vince McMahon bits. Lol. Quite a few shows. Even if you don't include the Ring of Honor stuff that's happening this week. CWF Mid-Atlantic. You've got the WCPW German qualifiers, I think. Progress Wrestling. Fight Club Pro. ICW has a big weekend of stuff, which may just be house show stuff, really. CZW has its doubleheader with WSU. Smash Wrestling's got a show. Oh, actually, no. Smash Wrestling is the WCPW stuff. It's the Canada leg. It's not the German leg. I got it wrong. My bad. Shine with my girl Leva in Shine Championship territory, and no sign of Su Yung. So that could be an interesting name to mention. And also Alpha One Wrestling, Ethan Page's promotion. And then possibly even New Japan thinking about it, because it'll be the following Wednesday before we've even talked about it. So, yeah. All that sort of stuff coming next week. And then another brief mention. Next Friday, the 12th, we'll be doing post pay-per-view review, recap, if you will, of the Ring of Honor War of the World show from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. Friday at midnight. So the pay-per-view starts at 9 Eastern, goes on for 3 hours. So Basically, we'll be coming on midnight Friday right into Saturday. Friday night, Saturday morning, however you want to describe it. And that should be back to the normal schedule of your wrestling stuff. So, in a world where there's a million, billion podcasts, thank you for joining me for either the previous video or this video. Even though it's not technically a podcast, because it's not live. It's just a video. So, I might as well say it, because Owen isn't here to say it. Until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I've got to say about that. Because there's no we. Unless I make an imaginary person up. That'd be too creepy.